I wanted to talk to you a bit about the new format this year, what has changed last year compared to this year. So now that you have 3 opponents every week, so it's essentially kind of always a super week, and then having the whole double elimination system, having gone through the whole format now once, how does the whole format feel to you?
Like, first thought is I like the format just because it's different, and there's best of 3, there's best of 5, which is just like better in general.
I think the format is great for viewers. I think it's really, really good for viewers. I think it's great for getting lots of games.
Generally just the change is good, and I think this like double elimination, it makes a lot of sense, so I'm happy about that.
I think the middling teams are getting way more games, which is really, really good for when you look at kind of leveling up players, leveling up the region. The downside is that it's really hard.
I mean, I personally like the whole best of 3 into best of 5s type of thing. I'm not a huge fan of the regular season nowadays.
So in terms of preparation, I would say that it is a lot more intense.
Because every week is now a super week.
I don't know if I would call this stressful, but the format is like hectic. A lot of games all the time and not much time to rest.
Last year felt a lot more like a marathon. This year feels like a sprint, and then another sprint, and then another sprint.
I think the most exhausting thing would be mostly that it's like 3 days in a row. That one day can make a difference, right? One extra day. So yeah, I wouldn't say preparation really matters that much. It's not like it's harder or anything. I would say it's just the 3 days in a row you need to keep focus, even if you have a rough start.
Usually it's only the beginning, you know? It doesn't matter if you're a big team or a small team. If you start losing, no one cares. It's a beginning, it's fine, they're gonna be back. There's no more beginning. We've played 2 games. By tomorrow, we play a third of the best of 1 phase.
It means that we have to make our prep, I would say, more concise. So I guess our focus is more kind of on ourselves. Okay, what's our read on the patch? What are our best comfort champions?
You can't like prepare for your opponents, you know, you just have to make sure you're in good shape.
For sure it's fast-paced, but you still have chances to prove yourself multiple, like in best of 1s, in best of 3s, best of 1s, best of 3s. So I would say it's actually pretty nice. It feels very like dynamic, you know.
And teams have already switched players and coaching staff and stuff like that, so it's much more intense. I love it.
Losing 1 day of scrims a week makes scrims feel really fast.
Because the schedule is so intense and so fast and so compact.
Feels like the weeks are like very short right now because you spend almost half of it on the studio here playing best of 1s.
You don't have time to fuck around.
The old scrim system was 5 games in a row through the whole afternoon. The new format system, which we call 3-1-3, where you play 3 to 4 games into 1 hour break into 3 to 4 games, which is directly inspired from the Asian system, because that's how Korea and China are practicing.
Maximizes efficiency. If you have a couple of games that aren't good in the first block, you can reset for the second block, which makes that more efficient.
It basically adds an extra 2 hours onto the day, right? So that's 2 hours less that you have to, I don't know, go to the gym or watch VODs or like have one-on-one conversations with players or do whatever extra kind of quality of life stuff that you're going to do as a team, even less for like, you know, team building and things like this.
And with a break in the middle, it allows you to reset. So if you had a really bad first block, then you can chill a bit and have a really good second block. Even allows you to add a potential third block, which is really good when you're under the pressure of an international playoff, for example.
Yeah, I think the format does better prepare teams to perform at Worlds, MSI, like the international events.
Since you play more best of series more than best of 1, like for sure it will help, yeah.
Also a lot because the BO1s you play now are super important. So, you know, you're learning basically for Worlds.
Understanding like how you play in those circumstances, under what kind of pressure and everything, I think is incredibly valuable.
And your ability to go backstage and think, project yourself onto the next game is what we need to train more and more and more.
I wouldn't say so. I don't think the format necessarily will change that. From my experience at least, after being to Worlds last year, when I got to face Eastern teams and the way they scrim, most of the times it's way different than the European scrims. I would say if we step up our scrims when we get to face them, we will have better results on the stage.
I think it is more likely to have teams be better at understanding how to draft in BO3s or how to draft in BO5s, how to adapt throughout a BO5.
It forces bad teams to fix the mistakes, and it forces good teams to stay focused and squeeze everything. So the moment we're going to step on the international stage, we're going to be ready.
I think the only caveat is that is everyone going to be burnt out by the end of the year at Worlds? Normally people are burnt out by the end of the year at Worlds anyway. That makes me a bit worried that a lot of European players are going to be very, very burnt out by the end of the year. And that's the big caveat for this format, because outside of that, I think everything's really positive.
So for best of 3s, for best of 5s, there's obviously, there's a lot of draft adaptation. You need to be able to see kind of who's performing well on the day, who's like having an off day for both, try and see it for both teams, right?
Teams can take like a week to prepare specifically for the teams they're playing, and you can like reassess your priors, and for sure it gives you like a bit more leeway to test things.
When you go to best of fives, that you can actually really try spice up some things and try out stuff.
I mean, the prep is just generally speaking deeper, and generally speaking it's more balanced for a longer series.
It's definitely more like mentally taxing, like for sure.
It is challenging, but it's also kind of exhilarating to be in it, yeah.
I think now every game actually matters. Like people used to say in VO1 before, like 18 games, every game matters. That wasn't true, you know?
Like I can tell from my experience, there was so many countless days I can't count on my fingers where I went to stage and I was like, what the f am I doing here today? You know, it's like week 6 or something, and it's like so useless, and I'm like so CBA, and I don't even know what I'm picking today, you know, and I would just go on stage and like just play.
I think compared than before, loss matter more because you have less game, of course. I think at the same time, loss matter less, because if you can be top 8, then you get into the best of 3 phase and it doesn't matter.
And that's the beauty of it, like top 8, you can still make it after a bad start, we showed that.
After faltering in game 1, Astralis would not be felled. They'll clean BDS up one more time to do it as Astralis advance.
If we can learn something from Winter is the ranking at the end of best of 1 doesn't matter at all. What matters is how much your team will be affected mentally by those losses. And I think teams like Astralis, like SK, like BDS, which are really try hard and they don't really care about losing, you know, they're like, okay, we're learning, let's go again. I think they're gonna be really, really scary. They learned a lot in Winter, and the fight for the last MSI ticket is gonna be an absolute banger.